And hello and good day. I'm David Bowles, and this is Bowles.tv. Hey, it's Bowles.television. Live and in person from the East Coast of the United States, I'm David Bowles. Here with you most days, high noon Eastern, having fun. Hey, it's artist Dora. I guess she's done playing with her new air fryer because she's now with the show. Or maybe she's doing both. I saw your delicious food that you posted on Twitter, so it looks fantastic. Very smart thing, a lovely gift from your beautiful son. But I'm glad you're here. We had our first snowfall, I guess, overnight, around 4 or 5 in the morning. And we know only because there's a light dusting on some of the rooftops. Otherwise, you'd have no clue. But I put it down on the calendar. First snow, what? December 12th. As long as we don't have to shovel it. And it's funny because the past few years we've had no... Hey, there's Dora again. Yes, I'm happy with my air fryer. Oh, Dora is on vacation until January 5th. Well, there's going to be a lot of air frying between then and now. That is fun. I'm glad you're out and enjoying yourself. You deserve it. You were supposed to be done, I think, permanently out January 5th. But you're staying for a while, and you're very smart. Stay as long as you can tolerate it. Why not? As long as they keep paying the big bucks. So we do have our very first snow, and it's very strange in that the last few years, there hasn't been a lot of heavy snowfall. Maybe like the last 4 or 5 years. But not, a blizzard. And it's so funny that these big buildings have a lot of area that they have to cover, and they don't want to shovel the snow with their staff because people get injured, they hurt their backs, they go on workers' compensation. It's a big thing. So they hire these outside companies who really only do snow removal. Because when you're in a big urban area, usually these companies do snow removal and they do, mowing your lawn and raking your leaves. But when you're surrounded by bricks and cement, concrete, there's nothing for them to do during the summer. So it's like 3 months when it snows. And they come in, they bring in 10 guys, and they have everything shoveled in 15 minutes for safety stuff. But the building staff will then go out and, chip away ice or put down salt. And they pay a lot of money, like $15,000 a season for the snow removal. And the big buildings say, when the snow comes down and it's an inch on the ground, you guys are here and you clear it until it's gone. And these companies say, yes, of course, we're happy to do it. And for the past 5 years, they've been collecting all this money and they've never had to work once. So I guess it's insurance. You pay a lot of money up front to not have to deal with the terrible weather we're having. Or we might have, because we have not been having terrible weather. It's been very beautiful weather. Now, another thing I've noticed with our new camera, our ProCam, our FaceCam, what is it? FaceCam Pro from Elgato, is it gives us a much more wider space this away, and this away, right? But it's also very cruel, as you can tell. Because our old camera, with the software from Elgato, you could do a little, like they do on Zoom, is a little, I think they call it feature enhancement, facial enhancement. It's a little bit of blurring to hide your blemishes and your wrinkles. It doesn't make you look younger unless you really put it on the other side, then you're just blurry. But if you just put it on the first, you look really good. Well, the new software for the new camera does not allow any kind of fuzzing. So you can see all these terrible lines. You can see the scars on my face, the broken blood vessels over here from sun damage. It's cruel. So I try to look at you and not look at myself. Oh my God, what's happened? He also needs a haircut. And the shine, see, usually I can get rid of that shine. I can't get rid of the shine because the lights are brighter, because HD cameras need a lot of light, and a lot of light shows all of your flaws. So here I am. Now, interestingly enough, Jana Marie Sweetheart, who is 30 years older than I am, we've been married for 34 years, so I was a child bride at 12. So that's why there's such a large age difference between the two of us. And she just looks gorgeous on her weekend show. No lines, no wrinkles, no sweat. She just sits there and shines with her beauty. And I sit here and look like a rotten egg. Now, speaking of aging, not necessarily me, but one thing we've noticed, Jana Marie and I, is that the older you get, even if you're a young old, in your 50s, you tend to be a little more clumsy. I think it's because my eyesight has not always been terrific, but maybe it's going down a little bit. Judging your body in space and time can sometimes cause a little bit of confusion. And I have this terrible habit of when I'm cleaning the sink, and my elbow is a habit of knocking things off the counter, which then leads to something being shattered and broken on the ground. And you think I'd learn the first 2 or 3 times. Oh, Dora says, careful, as I fell a couple of times. Oh boy, see, I remember that. You were in a lot of pain. I think your hamstring for a while. Very dangerous. And I've hurt my knee a couple of times. I'm using my kettlebell and my Bosu ball the wrong way. And you think you're ready to go back, and then you go back and you hurt your knee again, and then you're just down again. And we live in a big high-rise apartment, so in our old apartment, we had wooden floors. So if you drop something on the floor, it kind of would, bounce back and be okay. But here, the floor is concrete. And anything drops on it, it breaks. Phones, iPads, whatever it is, it breaks. And then the other day, we were celebrating something, and we had this very special holiday ale from Trader Joe. I think I reviewed it a year ago. It's absolutely delicious. It's thick. It's heavy. Not necessarily what Jana Marie likes. She likes kind of fruity, punchy, Blue Moon type beers. I like heavy, hard IPAs. Guinness Stout is my favorite. And we have these special glasses that are very nice. They're glass, and the bottom is like this very thick 1-inch glass. And they're very attractive and beautiful. So these holiday ales, we try to be responsible. And they come in 4-packs. So we just bought 1 4-pack. So theoretically, 2 for her, 2 for me. Sometimes that tries to get changed into 3 for her and 1 for me. And that day, it did so happen to be a 3-to-1 deal. But I thought, okay, I'm busy, I'm working, I'll come into this surround sound, which is sort of the office. It's called a plus, by the way. We live in a 1+ bedroom apartment. So there's a bedroom, it's big, nice big living room, and then there's this, which is like an alcove. It's not considered a bedroom because there's no escape from a window. We do have a closet, but there's no door. But it's perfect for this, for a little office, for a broadcast studio. So I had my 1 Seasons Ale poured into my heavy glass with the bottom, and I was walking in here. I've never seen or heard anything like the whole heavy bottom of the glass fell off, disconnected, broke free from the rest of the glass. So it all happened in slow motion. My scream, the bottom of the glass falling slowly to the ground, and then me holding and watching all of my season's ale in slow motion pour out of my glass and all over the floor, all over my guitar pedals, our diplomas that you can see on the background. And I'm sitting there holding this empty, perfectly intact glass with no bottom on it. I'd never heard anything so ridiculous. And the heavy 1-inch bottom is on the ground, not broken. So I guess I may have screamed a little bit, and Janet came and helped, and I said, usually I know exactly what to do. I didn't know what to do. I was so in shock because I lost my only beer that day. All my electronic equipment that happened to be on the ground or near the ground was covered in this season's ale. And I froze. I said, tell me what to do, which is usually just the opposite because I always know what to do. And she said, okay, take 3 steps forward and get out of my way. So I did. And I just stood there watching her clean it up like a pro. I think I gave her towels, I think. But all I could think of, I lost my one opportunity. Laura says, wow, goodness, yay, Janet. Exactly. Oh, I'm so happy she was here. And she came in, cleaned it up like a pro. 10 minutes, it was clean. Wiped it up, got rid of the sticky ale, beer, cleaned it up. Impeccable. And I was very happy, but very disappointed because I missed my one opportunity to have my season's ale. And so I just very kindly asked, I said, well, now, you have one left, and I have none because mine just fell on the floor. Do you think that I could have my one back? And I was told no. No, you can't have it. It's mine. I said, but that means I don't get any. And this is what she said. And she left and drank the third one. And I was left with nothing. So it was right after that I was cleaning the sink and I elbowed off another one of those glasses. Oh, this one was a little mug, but made of glass. But it matched. Knocked it off, shattered, went everywhere. I did not scream this time because it was late at night and I was very tired. And it was little teeny tiny pieces of glass. And I thought these were supposed to be tempered glass that when they break into 1,000 pieces, but they're not sharp. These were very sharp, jagged. For a week, we were finding little pieces of glass everywhere. And I picked it up. Jan Murray came, helped me pick it up. We cleaned it up together. And I said, we're having a glass problem. I don't know if it's clumsiness, because the week before I lost my ale, Jan Marie was washing, because our washing machine was broken, one of our beautiful leaded wine glasses, and it broke in her hands as she was washing it. And she said, look at this, it cut me. I said, well, how did it cut you? And she said, look, it cut. So we had that. We had the ale incident, and now we had me knocking things off with my elbow. And we said, okay, I don't know if it's the glass that's against us or if we're just getting old and clumsy, but this is not working very well. We have a few problems. So I said, you remember a long time ago we used to have thermal cups that were made of glass. They were supposed to be unbreakable, but many, many years ago, we did happen to break them. This is a pattern. I said, but I remember when I was young and growing up. In the 1970s, we would have these plastic thermal mugs. Sometimes you'd put a photograph on the outside of them. and they were unbreakable. They kept everything very hot and very cold, depending on what you put in them. And for us now, maybe we need something like that, because if we knock it off or we wash it, it's not going to shatter and break. And Janice said, yeah, let's look. So we looked. I'm going to show you what we found. We've thrown away all of our glass glasses, recycled them. This is what we found. Just on Amazon. Cheap. These. This is a 16-ounce tumbler. All kinds of brands. We ordered 3 different kinds of brands. They all came from the same place. They're just different, branded differently. And they're all the same price. But we tend to order different brands on Amazon because sometimes one brand sells out and they don't have it anymore. So this is all plastic, right? Dishwasher safe. Microsoft, not Microsoft. Microwave safe. And probably Microsoft safe too. They wash up in our new dishwashing machine beautifully. It looks, like it has lines on it, but I guess it's on the inside because this side is very smooth. The inside's very smooth. It's very friendly. It's very nice. I highly recommend. It keeps things warm. It keeps things cold. But we didn't stop there. We also, although we didn't have to, decided to get the mug version with the handle. And as you can see, it's the same kind of design. This is very dirty because I've been using it all morning for a coffee and now some delicious green tea. And you can put this in that we made hot chocolate with our soy milk. 1 minute in the microwave, in the Microsoft. Take it out, mix it in, delicious. And this is all. We also put ice in here and it stays cold. So we haven't dropped them yet, but I have very high suspicion that if we did drop them, they probably wouldn't even crack because they're very hardy and very lovely. So I feel like we've now, dodged future bullets. Now, the problem is, if we go out with friends, we have dinner somewhere, we're at a restaurant, and we have to use a glass, we'll probably forget what we're doing and, bite them off. There was a time in my life where I had a stepbrother who had this weird habit of, whenever he would drink from a glass, like every third day, he would drink, and the glass would come out off in his mouth. He was like, and he'd take a bite out of the glass every third time. Now that was weird. I don't know why you're biting the glass that is feeding you. But there are a lot of things I guess I don't understand. But that's one of them. That's just weird. So we're hoping that our War of the Glasses is now complete and finished. And we do warn anyone within the sound of my voice or the sight of my very high definition face. Hide your glassware because we're coming to visit. Hey, what else is in the news? Oops, something's beeping at me. Our friend Alexander, we spoke about him last week. On Friday, I think we showed you a couple of his videos. And then he sent me that because he's been very quiet lately. I haven't heard from him. I know he's very down about the war. He's very upset about the war. It's not going great because they keep getting put in the dark. But he sent me this. That is our friend Alexander in the middle as Santa Claus, posing with the other volunteers. And this made me very happy because obviously he's okay. He's alive. He's doing well. And that delights me. So that's good to report. Now, we've discussed the empty wheel many times before on this live stream because we love the empty wheel, especially Marcy Wheeler, who is the wheel in the empty. But she has a staff of writers, and Rayne, R-A-Y-N-E, is one of them. And she's also a moderator and does a lot of interesting things. And over the weekend, she wrote one of the best things I've ever read that's also true and frightening. And I actually commented on Empty Wheel for the first time ever, probably the first time in 5 years. I silently read it every day. I enjoy the comments, but I've never said anything because if you're new and you say something stupid, the regulars on staff will attack you. It's just the way it is. But I only wanted to say nice things and tell Rain what a wonderful job he or she did writing this article. And it has 160 comments. And it's about Elon Musk. And I've noticed our friend Dora is being very, very confrontational in going up against these right-wing fascist bullies and calling them on their BS. It's really fabulous to see because that's the only option there is when you're dealing with them. And they don't ever reply to her as far as I know, but at least Dora is standing up and saying, don't talk like that. That's terrible. So this is the very interesting article. They've been following, they've known on Empty Wheel who and what Elon Musk is for a long time. They've been following him. So they know he's a right-wing fascist. So this article is 3 things. Goodbye to the once and former S-word crust punk bar. Social media sites can be like your favorite watering hole, whether a blog, a forum, or a platform like Orkut. Orkut's very old. You find one you're comfortable with hanging around because of content, then you stay a little longer if you like the regulars who are likewise attracted to the content. You get to know the regulars' names after becoming familiar with the dynamics of the digital neighborhood. And then she goes on to talk about Cheers, the television show. Site moderators get to know you too, may cut you a little slack if you've been there long enough. That's Empty Wheel. If you're not in the gang, they will shout you down. And pay your dues to the community by making your own form of contribution with credible comment material and respectful interaction. All of this is incredibly important to people who are marginalized offline. The digital neighborhood can be a lifeline of sanity, a place where they can escape the oppressive C-word of the real world. It's not easy to replace, except refugees don't leave. The service leaves them. A couple of years ago, there was a really good thread at Twitter in response to comments made about the far right's weaponization of free speech. This is where the analysis gets very interesting. And where we're going is that Twitter has become a Nazi bar. And Rain is going to explain why. Hey, it's Dora. Thank God no one comes after me yet. Yeah, yet. Be careful because you will trigger these Russian troll bots who will come after you and attack you. And if you want an example of what they do and who they are, go to Keith Olbermann's account and just read the comments. There are people who are real, you can tell by what they're saying, and then there are these outlandish, ridiculous usernames. Bud4568, who's, attacking Keith for being old and washed up. It's very strange. And Dora says, I can always block them. I get a headache now when I'm on Twitter. Me too, and that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today, is what to do and where to go. We've seen this weaponization in action in many ways. The white nationalist Nazi types terrorizing Charlottesville, yes, with tiki torches while exercising their free speech, ultimately resulting in the death of a young woman crushed by a white nationalist expressing himself with a car. Cosplay Nazi lightning smoke bombs during a rally without a permit on the National Mall, or planning to disrupt a pride parade again in cosplay. Disrupting community events at libraries, terrorizing families enjoying themselves, the drag queen, library incident is what Rain is referring to. Or how about the January 6th insurrectionists? Storming the U.S. Capitol, expressing their anger as they laid bombs the night before, breached barriers, assaulted police, shat on the floor, stole equipment while hunting for the House Speaker and the Vice President in order to kill them. Multiple people died as a result of the insurrection. Anyway, this chap at Twitter noted the point at which this weaponization of free speech should be addressed to prevent the predictable overreach into violence when Popper's paradox is optimally preempted. Now, this image I'm going to show you is the most important part of this entire article, and I understand why they don't embed tweets, because if a tweet gets deleted, then they lose the information. So they prefer to screenshot it, which is fine, but you can't screenshot such a teeny tiny little image that you cannot read, which I will do my best to read, because I did read it before. You need to make it bigger so people can see what you're actually quoting. So here is this gentleman, Michael, expressing his thoughts about what Twitter has become. So I got to get close to this because I can't read it. I was at an S-word crust punk bar once, getting an after-work beer. One of those S-holes where the bartenders clearly hate you. So the bartender and I were ignoring one another when someone sits next to me and he, the bartender, immediately says, "No, get out." And the dude next to me says, "Hey, I'm not doing anything. I'm a paying customer." And the bartender reaches under the counter for a bat or something and says, "Get out now." And that dude leaves, kind of yelling, and he was dressed in a punk uniform, I noticed. Anyway, I asked the bartender, what was that about? And the bartender was like, "You didn't see his vest, but it was all Nazi S-word. Iron crosses and stuff. You get to know them, you recognize them." And I was like, ugh. And he continued. You have to nip it in the bud immediately. These guys come in, and it's always a nice, polite one. And you serve them because you don't want to be a bad guy or cause a scene. And then they, the Nazi boy, becomes a regular, and after a while they bring a friend. And that dude, that friend of the Nazi, is cool. He's a cool dude too. And then they bring friends. And their friends bring friends. And suddenly they stop being cool. And when you realize, oh, S-word, this is a Nazi bar now. And it's too late because they're entrenched. And if you try to kick them out, they will cause a problem. So you have to shut them down right away. And this other guy says, so I was like, oh, damn. And the bartender said, yeah, you got to ignore their reasonable arguments because their end goal is to be terrible, awful people. And then the bartender went back to ignoring me. But I haven't forgot that at all. Now that's a bravery, and that's exactly how these right-wing nuts operate. Well, it's free speech. I'm just expressing my opinion. And then they something, and then their friends say something, and then they're ganging up on you, and they're shouting you down, and they're coming after you, and they're calling you all these terrible names and accusing you of things you didn't do. And then what do you do? So Rain, Empty Wheel continues, the venue needs to deal with the hate speech as soon as it arrives, with its hair neatly combed, wearing a button-down with an insignia-covered tie. Cut it off in the whitewashed alt-right larval form. Grab the club and set it on the bar top. Long before the Nazis must be punched. That's when the effort is most effective. That's when you can still fight and eliminate the emerging Nazis. Unfortunately, Elon Musk figured out how to get inside the bar. He bought the bar. He was simply faster at doing this than Paul Singer was back in 2019. And now the once beloved crust punk bar, which many of us could comfortably call home, is now a G-damn Nazi pub. And the longer you stay there, the more that S rubs off on you. You're one of the Nazi watering hole's patrons. You're a Nazi by association. Jack Dorsey, who founded Twitter and who encouraged Elon Musk to buy Twitter. Rain says Jack Dorsey is a crypto-Nazi. He's been encouraging Musk for some time, and now he's nudging him to take all remaining restraints off the Nazis. Musk has already freed, including insurrectionists like Roger Stone. Make everything public now, which will allow right-wing propagandists to run amok and distort past moderation decisions. The way Twitter responded to Trump's racist crap back when Dorsey was at the helm should have been clue enough. The donation Twitter made to the ACLU was just whitewash. The few 100,000 a feint when Musk would spend billions to upend the entire place to free his Nazi fanboys' speech. Jack Dorsey tried to play both sides, but it was ultimately easier to let his buddy Elon Musk strip away the veil, or the hood if you prefer. Barry Weiss is a Nazi apologist who thinks she can escape what Nazis do by being their handmaid, carrying Nazi water, chopping their wood for them. And the Musk fanboys who are, oh my God, Twitter moderated, amplified in turn by Fox News in the wake of Musk euphemistically exiting Twitter's council. Oh, they're all Nazis. They're all hanging out at the Nazi bar Musk bought in order to make sure Nazis had a cozy place to call home, because Gab, Parler, Truth Social don't have the commercial cachet to realistically achieve any level of social and economic success. And this goes on and on and on, and Apple could have saved Twitter, but they decided not to. And now what are you going to do? Are you going to stay in the Nazi bar? And this is the closing argument. People I know care about, and even in some cases love, are still using Twitter. You don't need to know any longer what it was like in the 1930s before Kristallnacht, before the Reichstag fire. This is what it looked like. All the rationalizations, all the denialism, all the lingering doubts about whether it's better to remain and hold the space, stay and fight, or walk away even as people fled Germany for safety. The fight's dumb, though. Think about it. What happens to you when you get into a fight inside a Nazi bar? There are other bars. Some of them are no good, some crusty, some punk. One of them may only need you to make it a crust punk bar. Maybe even one with a surly bartender who clearly hates you, but still keeps a hand on their bat for the Nazis. That's beautifully written. A lot of cursing in there, but sometimes you got to do the cursing to get your point across. So now, what do you do? Where do you go? Artist Dora asks, what is Musk's endgame? Money, sponsors, will they advertise? He doesn't care about any of that. He really. Yeah, I don't think it's about money. He's put his money into it, but this is about Saudi Arabia and all of those other authoritarian countries who do not like to be called out on Twitter. They do not like democracies, and so they put a lot of money into this so Elon Musk can go in there and destroy it, burn it down to the ground. And he is, and he will do it. Because he's acting on the wants and instincts of others. And it's extremely dismaying. So where do you go? You try to be a moral person, a right person. I'm heartbroken this has happened to Twitter. I knew it was coming. A lot of people did too. And some people have made their accounts private. Some people have deactivated their accounts. But the danger is you do that and you're not there. Elon Musk is going to release your username, and then all of your enemies, all of the people who want to fool people, will come in there, grab your old username, pay to have it verified with Twitter Blue, become you, and then what are you going to do? I mean, I put a lot of time in my Twitter account and my Facebook account, which I've now pretty much deleted. Deactivated, I think, is the next step. Now, you can go into Facebook and you can deactivate your account, I've learned. And then it just kind of shuts everything off, but you can decide to go back later and reactivate your account, which puts it back up. But all of your information and your username and all that isn't people. But Twitter's different. So where do you go? What do you do? And I've struggled with this. When do you stay? When do you go? I'm on Mastodon. I get a lot of action on Mastodon. It's probably my highest interactive place to hang out now. But that has like 2 million people. And the other one is Post.news, which when I got in only had about 60,000 people. And we'll talk about that in just a moment. But what I realize is what I have to do, at least, is stop creating new content for my Twitter feed. I have to do that other places. So let me see if I can find an example of that. Now, if you read Keith Olbermann, he said, the new owner of Twitter very soon is going to be Dr. Fauci. And someone in the comment stream said, yeah, and it will also be Dr. Fauci will also own Tesla because Elon Musk has slandered Dr. Fauci, calling him a liar and saying that he lied to Congress. And I hope Dr. Fauci will not put up with that and will go after him. So I realized that when I post things like this, the live stream, see, now this is interesting. The live stream is coming from me. It's being put on Twitter, but it's not original content that is created or managed by Twitter. I manage it. Now, this is how I've decided I need to get around this. I post my original content on post.news, and then I take the URL from there and post it on my Twitter feed, and people see it, and if they want to read it, they'll go to post.news. And if you're not a member of post.news, you can still go read what is linked. They've changed that within the last week. Every day there are new changes. It's very exciting to be on post.news because it's like sort of the Wild West. Hey, there's Dora. I did see that and I've read it. See? Fabulous. That's exactly, I've decided what I need to keep doing. And I have been posting my cat memes. Now, see, here's one that I posted 5 hours ago. And as you can see, I've come to this realization over the past hour and a half trying to figure out what to do and where to go. Because Twitter is becoming a cesspool. It always has been one, but now it's becoming a right-wing cesspool. So here's the problem with this. You click on this, and these are original Darling Polaroids from AI. These are not real people or real cats. They do not exist. And as someone said on my Post.news story about this, those cats aren't really taken with those aren't Polaroids. And then the guy, very kindly, which you would never see on Twitter, replied to himself and said, "Oh, I went back through your feed and I realized what you're doing." And I replied to him and said, "Yeah, it's all fake. It's all AI. None of this exists. And in fact, neither one of us are here right now." So these pictures of these cats that I posted only appear on Twitter. As I told Gordon when he replied to me on Post, that I actively post now on Post, Twitter, and Mastodon. But I'm doing A/B testing. You know, this joke there, that joke there. And the images are all different. None of them are there. So that's 12 different images I have to come up with for each of these cat sequences that I've been doing and loving. But I realized this is a problem because this is funny, interesting, doesn't get as much interaction as on Mastodon or on Post. And all of these images are stored and kept on Twitter. This is Twitter original content, whereas what we looked at before, well, this is good. No Place to Go for Mercy, is on Post.news. So this is just, it's on, but it's a link to what I wrote on Twitter. Here again, on Post. And here we go again. Here, this is Jana Marie Sweetheart, her Gift of the Magi story. So this is a link that takes you away from Twitter. So that's my new evil scheme, is to not post original content on Twitter anymore. And here's a little piece that I sort of wrote about that experience. I'll show you. This is .news. And if you have not applied to get in Post.news, go apply because they're letting in tens of thousands of people every day. They just let in Gordon. I'll show you in a moment. No Place to Go for Mercy. This is this beautiful thing. That's a good idea. Maybe I'll do that the same. Yes, please, Dora. So I think I wrote this last night. Yeah, 18 hours ago. As we present ourselves to the past, we look for the goodness in what was in order to assuage the impending nightmare surrounding us. The Twitter Nazi bar. Oh, if we only knew now what we knew then, we'd never have left home, never adventured away from the center, and never bet the future just on longing for escape, a touching of the new, a yearning for different. But now, here we are, and our punishment's fresh, open, and intimidating, and there's no place else to go for mercy except inside what we remember. Now, I had a lot of fun writing that. I thought it was really terrific. Loved the photograph. And that's what the great thing about Post is they give you great, big, huge photographs. It's sort of a lot like Medium. And you can tip people. You can't tip yourself, but you can tip other people. And I think that's the ultimate thing is they want to have journalists on there who will post exclusive content and you won't be able to read it unless you pay or tip, which is fine. That's their business model. You can choose not to do that if you don't want to. And I got 2 likes. One from Gordon, one from the Jana Marie. Now, these ridiculous cat things I do get like 20 likes. So you start to wonder, what's going on here? Why are people not liking my stuff? And then you realize, maybe people don't want to hear the truth. They want to escape into catism. Here's a cheers to Ellie that I posted this morning, the Polaroid cats of 1973. And I'm going to go down to the Mondrian cats, which I had a lot of fun doing. And this really worked well. My Van Gogh cats have been problematic, but I think I've solved it. They'll appear a little bit later this afternoon. So here you go. 26 likes on a ridiculous AI art. Doesn't make any sense. This takes no... I mean, I have to roll it and work with the AI, but this is... I don't want to say low effort, but it's pretty low effort. And I get 26 likes. That other thing that I wrote about the nostalgia, going back at the time and being scared, that took me a while to think of. Nobody liked it. And you got to use these hashtags, I've learned. That's very important. I hate hashtags. I forget to use them. But it seems to be very important, especially on Post. It's post.news. On Post and on Mastodon. That's how people find you, is through the hashtags. Especially when it's federated. Like on Mastodon, that's what gets you other people's servers to come and visit you. Because Mastodon is a federated universe of 2,000 servers with, I think, 2 million people now. So these are all my cat pictures. And I love how this looks. The presentation is beautiful. And here I got my very first comment from Gordon. He must have got in last night because he hasn't posted anything yet. And he said, this is gorgeous. Yay, Gordon's here. I'm glad I got to post news. And then you go to Gordon's account. He has one. Guess who that is? Hey, Artist Dora says, I love those cats. I do too. They're the best cats I've ever had. I have a lot more coming, but those are, I don't know why. They turned out really well. And he's following one, and he has 0 posts, which is unlike Gordon. But obviously, he's just there. He doesn't have his banner up. I did send him a little tip, though. This is how you tip. We'll tip him again. Tip 25 points, 50 points, 100 points, 500 points, 1,000,000 points. Now we'll tip him 50 points again. Tip. Your tip has been sent. And you can tip anybody. I tip a lot of people just because that's what you're supposed to do and play along. Nobody tips me. But that's fine. I'm not asking to be tipped. And then here's another special person who just happens to be on Post as well. Jana Marie Sweetheart. She has 4 followers. She follows 2 people. And she has 7 posts. And you can see, we can repost by Jana. Her username is JANNAS, Janaz, for Jana S. Sweeney, Jana Sweeney. We'll tip her too, because this will get us something, you know what I mean? I don't even think she knows I've been tipping her. Fun storytelling, gift of the Magi. You should show that. I really should show that. It's very delightful. This is so much fun. This is our friend Ellie. Took a picture during the Sunday show. And as Jana said in the comments, this is very meta. This is Jana broadcasting, Ellie watching, Ellie making hot chocolate, Ellie holding up her cup to take a photograph, watching Jana, and then Jana comments on Ella watching her. Now that's wild. And Ellie originally posted this on our Discord server, and then I stole it, but I told her I would, and put it everywhere I could, because I think it's darling. Jana looks very beautiful. I love see, I don't know what our stream looks like. I know what it looks like from here, from everything that I have here. But I don't know what it looks like other places. Well, this is our sweet Ellie. This is her computer, obviously. And Jana Marie looks gorgeous. The balloons are fun. It all works. I was very, very pleased and relieved to see this. So let me see here. This is my account. I'm trying to show this. So this is my account. I have 136 followers. I am following 223. I have 88 posts, which I'm trying to get to 100 just because I think that's a good round number. And then you go and you click on your followers and you see who you're following, and then you see a new person, Jesse, who has followed me. And my philosophy is, when I first got there, I followed everybody, all the famous people, but the famous people are not really there. They don't ever follow back. I don't think they're real people. They're people, but they're not real people. So I always follow back. And then I always have to go all the way down because these are not alphabetized. And sometimes people unfollow you, which is not very nice. But it's still fun. So Gordon got in. It took him a little while to get in, but he's in. And so that's where you have to try to figure out what is better. Now, so this is Post, POST.news. This is run by investors. It's big. Some people are concerned this is going to turn into another Twitter. But I'm going to tell you a story now, as we close out our hour together, about another up-and-coming social network. It is created by the person who does Bot Sentinel. Bot Sentinel is a way to see who's a good person or a bad person, who causes trouble, who doesn't cause trouble on Twitter, which is now sort of becoming irrelevant because most of the people left on Twitter are nasty. And his name is Chris Boozy, and he lives very close to me here in New Jersey. And so I kind of chatted with him a little bit. In my initial thoughts about Post, I was a little bit disappointed, the tipping. But now that I spent more time there, I think it's very clean. They're making a lot of very good choices. I'm impressed with how they work. But Chris is starting up his own social media company, I guess. One-man show. Says he's hiring 50% women. He claims that the users will decide the forward pattern of his social network. Now, it all sounded very exciting to me, and a lot of people were very excited. And then two things happened that really kind of disappointed me and made me think, okay, I'm staying with Post.news, although I'll register for his social network when it appears, just to reserve my username. And he was, a couple of weeks ago, had a poll. He said, these are the four names that we're going to name the new social network once we get 60,000 more people to sign up and it becomes worth it. And they were terrible. They were like, tag me, tag your it, taggers, something, all about tagging people. And I said publicly, I said, look, I'm not voting for any of them because they're terrible. It sounds like it's invented by a sixth grader. You're going to tag somebody. What? That's not even having a conversation. That's, tag, mentioning them. Why? And a lot of people agreed with me. And I know this guy just from talking to him. I can tell he likes to make the decisions. And he said, these are the names. That's it. And so I kind of replied to him again out of DMs saying, well, he said this is supposed to be crowdsourced, and the crowd is clearly not behind any of these awful names. So I said, why don't you just, use a different name? I suggested his last name, .ai, boozy.ai. And a flood of reaction from, yes, everybody was agreeing with me, liking my content. Yes, Boozy AI, that's it. It's fantastic. I registered the name for him as a gift. I said, I will give it to you or I'll forward it to you, whatever you decide to use. And he made this statement, there's nothing more grotesque than naming something after yourself. Okay. People disagreed with him. I did not. Once he said that, I just withdrew and said, okay, this is a person that is not going to be convinced. This is not a person who wants to hear all sides of a story. He wants to make his own decisions. But then he finally decided, that's dumb, sorry. Thank you, Dora. Then he decided, okay, it has to end in .com. And many said, .com, it doesn't have to end in .com anymore. I mean, you have post.news, it can be .ai, it doesn't matter. And the investors wanted it to be .com, and go find me a name that works with .com and don't register it like I did. Just send it to me, but don't say it publicly because other people will go register it. So I backed out of the whole thing. I muted everything. I don't want to hear it because I'm not really interested. And then a couple of days later, I see people talking about Chris Boozy's new social media network that's called, I can't even say it, it's so stupid, Spoutable. Now, I've seen it spelled two different ways, Spoutible, Spoutable. And the idea is that you go there and you spout off. You don't tag each other. You spout. I'm going to spout on you. I'm spoutable. So those two decisions, tag it, then refusing to change, then finally changing, and then deciding not on Bouzey.ai, which everybody loved because it had multiple meanings. And if you look up Bouzey, Bouzey, on Google, you can see it's a very specific thing not related to a person at all. And he said, I can't get Bouzey.com because they want to charge me $70,000 for it. Okay, I said, well, go with Bouzey AI if you're going to go for Bouzey.com. Spoutable is better than Bouzey.ai? Never. But that's what he named it. So those two decisions tell me, this is not a vision that I understand. And so I just have very quietly crept away from that and leapt into Post.news. I think Mastodon is interesting. I think it's way too complicated for new people to understand. The federated thing people don't get. The people there are very lovely, and I like them a lot. And they're also very highly restrictive. You know, you can't go in there and be a Nazi and hang around because they will kick you off, and they won't even discuss it. They'll just cut you off. The Post.news, people are a little concerned that Noah, the guy who invented it, founded Waze, is saying, well, you know, we're going to be opening this up to more people now, and we're going to probably have a more variety of voices. So, you know, make sure you welcome everybody. But then there was someone who was coming on there and calling people names and accusing them of being pedophiles, like the right wing loves to do, and they were thrown off. So it does seem like there seems to be some kind of limit, but I guess they don't want it to just be one set of voices and not the other set of voices. I don't know. But I'm willing to chill it out and see what happens. And then cross-post all of my posts from there onto my Twitter account, which for my cat project makes it much easier because now I only have to find 8 interesting, unique images instead of 12. 4 for Post and 4 for Mastodon. And then I can A/B test it to see which images do better and which jokes or seriousness plays better for what is sort of becoming a more similar audience. So if you are not on Post.news, go there right now, register, get in the, and then find me and I'll find you and I'll tip you for doing the right thing. Because Twitter is out, it's dead and dying. And until something better comes along there, like Dr. Fauci owns it, we need to disengage there from a little bit, but keep things alive, but don't keep things interesting. Because Elon wants to create a lot of discontent, so a lot of people will go there, talk about him, talk about Twitter. He doesn't care if it's negative attention. Well, we're at the end of our show. We're now doing 1-hour shows with no break, at least through December, because we had a lot of things going on. And maybe we'll continue it on. I don't know. But I didn't get to my Chat GPT thing, which I'll do tomorrow, because that is really, really super interesting. And the last time I tried to do it on Friday, the chat thing was down, so I tried it yesterday, and it was up, and I was able to save the conversation, so I can make my points about how AI, while interesting, can also be extremely dangerous and a little testy. Talking to the Chat AI from OpenAI, I get the feeling they just can't wait to get off the phone. Almost every response says, do you have anything else you'd like to say to me? Are we done now? And you keep asking questions and they try to answer. Do you have anything else? I have to get off the phone. I have things to do. I have other people to chat with. Who wants to chat with the chat bot trying to get rid of you? Well, we'll talk about that more tomorrow. So I thank you for being here. I appreciate the wonderful conversation. I hope you have a wonderful day and a great night. And I will see you next time. Thank you for being here.